During this video, we're gonna see one of the most incredible mysteries that we have in the 20th century. We're gonna understand why this is partially true and inspiring some of the legends that we have in that time. We can start with a few similar questions, an easy question that we have around the Philadelphia experiment. It is true that the USS Eldridge exists in real life? Yes, it's true. It is true that the aliens were somehow involved in this plot? Yes, it's true. It is true that you are involved in this plot? No, I'm not. Give me the answer right now! Stop making questions. Sorry, please, sorry. Okay, well, keep going. That and much more question that we have, because OMG, the Philadelphia experiment, it has some partially true stuff. It's not just aliens flowing around in the air. So, as always, we're gonna start from the beginning. This started in 1956, okay? We're talking about a bunch of time, almost 100 years. One guy, let me check, I have the name over here. Charles Meredith Allen, also known as Carlos Miguel Allende. Yes, we have a Spanish guy in here. We can call it Carlos. I like Carlos. Carlos Miguel Allende. No, we're gonna call it Charlie. I know, because I have another Charlie in the story. This is going to be Carlos Miguel Allende. Joder, chaval. Carlos wrote a few letters to one important guy. We can call it Charles Berlitz. Yes, I'm talking the same author of this book, The Triangle of the Bermudas. Now we can see the connection. I read that book, The Triangle of the Bermudas. It started good with real facts of planes that were lost, ships lost also, but suddenly there is a part that you have something like a submarine UFOs and it goes underwater and you say, well, you know, this book bullshit. We can talk also about the idea of all this context that we have. We're talking about 1956. The original letters that Carlos wrote to Charles was around 1943. He was talking about something that happened on 1943. It was in the USS Eldridge. Supposedly, it happened in that boat. That boat exists in real life. This is the partially true that we have. We can ask the next question. Carlos was in the USS Eldridge? No. Carlos was in another boat, seeing from the distance, seeing that the boat disappeared. And then, yes, they were testing some kind of technology, some kind of cloaking technology that can make you invisible to the raiders, but also invisible to the human eye. And this part, I don't have any clue, any idea how you're going to navigate if you can see the instruments. Maybe invisible to the human eyes, to the people that they are not in the boat. But the people that they're in the boat, yes, we can see everything. But I think it's dangerous. Well, what happens if you're sailing around and you hit one boat that is completely invisible? I think it's dangerous. So this boat was invisible, okay? That was the idea. They pushed the button and the whole boat disappeared. Not only for the radar, disappeared to the human eye, but not only to the human eye, he moved to Virginia. Yes, the whole boat teleported to Virginia. I don't know why. It's a teleport inside the country, because nowadays we know that teleport, it doesn't work that way. If you teleport in the same place, you're gonna be in the middle of the space or in the middle of the earth. It's not so easy to teleport in any way, but teleporting inside the same country, that's interesting. I think that's a really nice, interesting technology, but we have side effects. The main side effects that we have around this funny technology is that most of the sailors inside the boat, some of them, they were unalive, some of them, they're fusionized with the boat, and some of them, they went crazy. Do we have any testimony of those sailors? No. Okay, how Carlos or Charles Meredith Allen knew that this boat went to Virginia? I don't know. It's just his speech. He was talking that, so we don't have any clue. In 1984, it was an amazing movie that was The Philadelphia Experiment. This is the USS. This is Gabby Carter, by the way. This is the USS Eldridge. And yes, and this is the movie. The movie was the experiment, the Philadelphia experiment. It was about the sailor that, I don't know, it was Charles. I need to check. No, it wasn't Carlos. Okay, it was another random guy. Maybe one of the sailors that were fooling around inside the boat. Ah, yes, now I can understand. If you watch the trailer, you're gonna see that the trailer is the same as the movie. So you don't need to watch the movie, just watch the trailer. For example, this moment, it's when they tried the Viagra of the 1984. I think Viagra already exists in that time. I don't know. Carlos, he was a witness about the disappearance of a boat that it moves to Virginia and came back to the exactly same place. We also knew that all the sailors were unalive, crazy, or disappear. We also knew that all this kind of stuff were sent by letters to Charles Berlitz. That was the main author of the Triangle of the Bermudas or something like that. Why this story hit so hard in that time? Because the USA government, the military stuff, when they need to test new weapons, they just test on their own military. So, for example, nuclear, chemical, and also biological weapons, they tested in their own military people. So, it's partially true. And the cloaking technology, the anti-radar technology, was also in developing. Also, Carlos, I don't know why or how, say that this kind of cloaking device was something that used magnetism and radioactivity. How this witness was knowing all this information, knowing that he was in another boat, and also he was talking about some kind of stuff that people in most of the cases they don't understand. I'm talking about magnetism and radioactivity. So he was taking a really big advantage. We need to talk about Charles Meredith Allen, or as we know it, Carlos Allende. Oh, Carlos Allende. Joder. Carlos Allende, or Charles Meredith Allen, that was the real name. That guy did really exist. Okay, he was a real person, and some researchers were able to track where he was living and whatever. They were able to track the family and talk with them, and the family said that he was completely and absolutely crazy. He was changing the story. Sometimes it say that aliens came along. No, he wasn't saying that. Some of the cases he disappeared because of the experiment. The main question is going to be, you weren't in that boat when the experiment worked. Doesn't matter. I disappeared because of the radiation and the magnetism. I think Carlos Meredith Allen was a little bit crazy, but the funny stuff was how Charles Berlitz took this story and changed it. I must say that the Philadelphia experiment was a really nice movie to watch in that time. The lady was the same lady of RoboCop, I think. Give me a sec. Yes, Nancy Allen. Nancy Allen was the same girl of RoboCop. In the main poster of the movie, and Gabby Carter, of course, the main movie of the poster, it says one of the best science fiction films of the 80s. And we need to talk about the 80s, guys. Because saying one of the best science fiction movies of the 80s, I think it's a little bit too much. Star Wars, Cocoon, RoboCop, Terminator, Short Circuit. I must say the Short Circuit was an amazing movie. WALL-E, Breaking Bad. Okay, well, I can understand Breaking Bad wasn't in the 80s, it was a little bit late, but who cares? It's a really nice movie to watch. You're gonna have major spoilers right now. The main plot of the movie was one sailor was in the boat and he was time travel to the future. 1984 for us is the past, and he met this woman, the RoboCop lady woman, and they fall in love, and he needs to go back to change, I don't know where. He goes back to the ship, he stops everything, and he comes back to the future. I think it's Back to the Future 4 or something, because he met a lady. Of course, that's the heterosexual straight. Every single movie before the 2000 one, you need to have a straight relation. Gremlins. Yes, Gremlins, we have a straight relation in the middle, but we're talking about movies? When this one changed to movies? Ladies and gentlemen, did you watch the movie? Are you going to watch it right now after all the spoiler that I made about the movie? So put in the comments, put something beautiful, like, subscribe, comment, do all the things that YouTubers like to do, and fijne dag.